Leman Russ battle tanks are often lauded as the Imperial Guard's greatest and staple vehicle, but to the crew operating them, they are terrible. Here's the perspective of one such Leman Russ crew member. Of all the possible tanks to be stuck in, a Leman Russ was probably the worst. The innards of a Leman Russ were hot and cramped enough once the shells were loaded, before you tried to cram in 2 more sweaty bodies. The tank was a rolling death trap. Its tall profile was so notoriously awful that no commander ever wanted to be a squadron leader. The only thing big enough to shield a Leman Russ during operations was another Leman Russ, so better to keep the command unit ahead of you for as long as you could. Its fragile checks were exposed, and its armor was a mess of easy-to-hit vertical planes. The standard pattern spots and bulges just presented another flat edge to destroy. The interior was noisy and prone to bursting into flames whenever a loader coughed too loudly, and if you were truly unlucky enough to have those sponsons, there was only one escape hatch right at the top of the main turret, and so the chances of getting out alive in case of all too likely disaster were practically zero. Whoever had designed the Leman Russ was a moron or a sadist or both. The only things it had going for it were cheapness, mechanical reliability, and a certain rugged survivability in numbers. The design was so brutally simple that the Imperium was able to turn them out by the million. It mattered less that each individual unit was a study in self-harm when you could overwhelm a battlefield with hundreds of them, and a front-mounted las cannon at least could keep firing as long as its power packs held a charge, which made running out of shells somewhat less of a disaster. Still, all in all, the crews had few illusions about the tanks they rode into war. Death boxes they were called, and home wreckers and other earthier names too. Infantry troopers would occasionally look askance at them, jealous of all that thick armor they had around them. But a Leman Russ tanker knew how fragile it all really was, and how going out to a last blast was far preferable to being burned alive or buried under a wall of mud or suffocated by trapped engine smoke.